what do you look at as kind of the identity point this year? Do you want it to be your defense again, or is there something different about this team than the past?
No, I think we definitely want to be known as a defensive team. I think that's the key. I think we can score the basketball. We've shown that we can score the basketball. We want to. I think last year when we defended the three pretty well, I think we were probably top 30 team in defending the three. Everybody's shooting a ton of threes, so I think that's a good number for us. We want to stay there. But I think at the same time we want to keep teams out the paint too. So it's a good balance of keeping teams out the paint as well as still defending the three at a high level.
You've mentioned switchability and athleticism in the past. Your bigs feel like something where that can carry over too. Which one of them, or I guess all of them, do you feel are hedgeable or switchable, and how often do you plan on using that?
Well, I don't think we want to put ourselves at a disadvantage. I mean, I think there's opportunities to have those switches, but I like them more late in the clock. I don't think you want to do them early in the clock when you have to try to scramble and do a lot of different things there. But it is something that we can look at. But I think most teams, and we're included, and they don't really want to try to put their five out there more times than not. Teams that play smaller fives, they feel a little bit more comfortable with that. I do think when we have a smaller lineup, or maybe Colin or Ben, playing the five, then it's something we look at to do more.
What were kind of your main takeaways from the two scrimmages so far?
I just think we're on schedule. Right? I think our guys have been playing, where we got a lot of reps, and we had some guys down. We still got it's a little nagging injuries, nothing serious. But Tyron was out, Ben was out. So we got a lot of good reps for the young guys, and I think that was huge for them. They came out, they made some mistakes that we can clear up. We got a week or so to clear up that we didn't have to see in the first game to try to address. So I think that was huge for them, and kind of a little bit of a blessing in disguise, because if those guys were here, Tyron and Ben was available, they probably would have took the most of those minutes, and it would have been as advantageous for us to get those guys up to speed and with their on board.
Are those guys, Tyron, Ben, and then Lee Dort, are they on track to be available for the opener?
Yeah, Lee is he's just ramped up to court work right now, which is good. I mean, it's good to see him back on the floor, moving around and doing some things. But he's not. I would think it would be a stretch to say that he'd be ready for game one. But it's good to know that he's trending in the right direction. But I anticipate having Ben and Tyron available for the first game.
Can you talk about Tyron and Ezra, what you've seen from them as their leadership has really improved in the past year, and what it means to have Tyron back on this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think Tyron leads by example more so. I mean, I think he's done a better job of being more of a verbal leader. But I think Ez is just he's tremendous in that department, to where it's not a necessity that we have Tyron. I mean, just continue to do what he does. I mean, perform on the court, get downhill, make the right plays. I mean, that's just the advantage of having older guys that's been in the program and know what to do and what we expect, as opposed to our younger guys who are still learning those things. And they've been doing a great job. I mean, we've had some great moments from Jason Rivera, from Malik Presley, and Carter Lang has had moments. J.Q. Roberts. I mean, all these guys have had Isaiah West. I mean, I can go down the list of guys that have had days where we've been like, wow, it's really, really pleasant surprise. But at the same time, we're counting on our older guys. I mean, Evan Taylor, Tassos Campeteros, those guys that's been around, and we're gonna give them that opportunity first. But these young guys are on the heels, and it's a good problem to have.
What's the biggest difference between this year's roster and looking at last year's roster?
Just a little more length and a little more athleticism. I think that's more shooting. I think that's more guys that you feel comfortable when the ball leaves their hand and they got a really good shot of it going in. So I think that's a positive. But again, things change whenever you're in practice sessions and you're playing against yourselves, and then when you get in the gym and you smell a little popcorn, and it's a little different. So I think that's we know what we're going to get from our older guys, and we're still determining what we're going to get on game night. I mean, I think we got some gamers out there, but at the same time, make sure that they're sticking to the script and what we need to do, especially on the defensive end.
You talked about at media days the switch sort of an approach of non-conference games. I mean, how is that going to be every non-conference game that you get in maybe late in the game, maybe you keep Tyron in, maybe you keep some of the starters in? Like, is that how are you going to be looking at that?
Man, I was just talking at media day. You know what I'm saying? No, I mean, we don't get to be who we are if we don't do what we did last year and play guys. And we don't play those guys. Then Colin Smith, he's not who he is at this point. Paul Lewis isn't who he is at the point. So we maybe in somebody's mind we sacrificed a little bit for that, but I think for the big picture of what we need to do, we needed to do that, and we got to do that again this year to a certain extent, right? I don't think it's we were searching a little bit, right? We left from Scotty, who was so ball dominant, and now we're trying to figure out who was. I mean, at the beginning of the season, I thought Paul may have been the starter, and as things just kind of unfolded, Ezra became the starter, and rightfully so. So, but he had a rough start, right? Just the onboarding and learning all that we do on both sides of the ball and being the general of that. It just took him some time to get his feet under him, and the same thing is going to help our younger guys, but they got to get reps, right? We can't, like I said, we're gonna play our guys. We're gonna win, hopefully win our fair share of games. I mean, just things that I don't think that we could have avoided last year. I mean, I don't think when we scheduled. Not like they blew us out, but when we scheduled Southern Mississippi, right? We didn't anticipate them having more SEC experience on their roster than we did, with Crowley and those guys. So it's just, Grambling, like shit, it's probably one of the oldest teams in college basketball. So I think that's, it's just things like that we were maybe a little bit smarter about, this time around, but. You never know, what some of these guys have added late. So we just got to be ready to step up and play good basketball. That'll be the best result for us and find a way to win those games as opposed to being on the opposite side of any of them. Because we saw that just having great success in the conference wasn't enough. I mean, I don't think you probably go back how many other years you see a team that finished fourth in the SEC that didn't get an opportunity to play in the postseason. So. Hopefully we can do that again in conference play, but be in a great position from our non-conference from this year's schedule.
Your transfers, what have you seen from them so far, and what kind of roles could they play in the upcoming season?
Well, I think transfers are always, it's tougher when guys have been in a lot of systems, before that, trying to kind of break in some of those habits to have them adopt what we want to do and how we go about it. But Evan Taylor's been really good. He's a good shooter. He's a good scorer. Not only can he shoot the basketball, he can score it. He can put it on the floor. He has some good length. But now it's making sure that he understands the principles enough to give up to give us 12, 14 points, but not give up 16. Right? So I think that's the where he's going to grow. I think Tassos Camteris is a guy that can really stretch the floor for us. He's not the most athletic, 5 that we would put on the floor, 4 or 5 guy, but I think that's where he'll really give us an advantage of being able to stretch the floor, and he has the strength to guard. We may have to be creative and double the post and do some different things for him if teams try to post him up. But I think what we give up on the defensive end, we definitely gain that advantage of having him being able to stretch the floor on the offensive side for us.
How big do you think the rotation will be to start the season?
We're going to, like I said, I think we're going to play. We got guys, 10, 11 guys that deserve to play. But I've had those candid conversations. Probably have 12 guys that deserve it. I mean, Graham Carlton has probably had as good a camp as anybody. He's down now with with an ankle, a little bit getting back from an ankle, but he knows the system. He makes shots. So, I mean, he deserves. But again, we want to give our, I talked to him about the guys. Maybe that you're deserve to be in the rotation. Isaiah West is a guy that has played well enough but man, we're going to give that group, that core group, the bulk of the minutes early on, and those guys got to play hard. They got to play hard. You can't take possessions off because you got guys behind you that are hungry. So they need to play well, play hard. But foul trouble and different things like that, would determine some earlier going a little bit deeper in the bench than probably I might have in my mind. But it's always a game feel, man. Like I said, I would like to say that we want to play 8 or 9, but when we get there and different things happen, I'm pretty sure it'll be a little bit more than that. Like I said, we got to get these guys reps. They don't get reps from just watching. You get reps from being out there, and that's what the non-conference is for, to try to get those reps. Still, absolutely win the games, but give these guys some really good reps going into league play.
Who do you feel are some of the guys that can give you a lot of minutes off the bench? And I guess all of them can give you production, but which ones are you going to turn to early?
No, I mean, I think I really like Jason and his field. I mean, he does some. I think he's special defensively. Right? I mean, I think he can shoot the ball, can make plays, can handle the ball with size, but defensively he's special with his length. He has a knack for getting his hands on balls and deflections and different things like that. So Malik Presley. I mean, he's been impressive. He's as good at getting downhill as anybody we got, and that's Tyron included. And so I think that's having him. He's able to get to him and get to the line. I think most of the time when we got to the line last year, it was kind of Ez or Tyron. I think that gives us another guy to get to the line, and Vin. I mean, we've been able to throw it to him and have him face up, but he's missed a lot of time. He had some growing, his foot injuries and whatnot. So he's not as far along as we would like for him to be, ideally. But I'm not worried about him. I know he's smart and he understands what we need to do. Carter Lane, right? I think he's stepped up admirably. He's got big size and he can pass the ball. He can space the floor to 3. He get his feet set. He can knock down. It's a little bit of a slingshot, but it goes in. So we take it. So I think it's a lot of different guys, man, have done some things, but it's just fun to see who's going to be who when the light's on for real.
Who's the third point guard, you think?
Isaiah.
Okay.
Yeah, Isaiah. So if I had the depth chart of it, it would be obviously Ez, Paul. I want to play Paul off the ball a little bit more this year too. I mean, I think that one of our best, when we really kind of hit our stride last year, we moved Tyron down to the 3, and we had Trey in the lineup at the time. I could see him kind of being in that role, and Isaiah kind of taking that backup third, and then Jordan Williams, who's been good. I mean, he can handle the ball, get us in some things. I would have him as like the 4th point guard that can do some things with us, but. It's good to swing the ball on the other side, from side to side of the floor, and have a depth ball handlers that can make plays and facilitate in the pick and roll. And I think we got more of those guys than we've had since we've been here.
Ezra mentioned adjustments in his shooting form. What does that process look like with you, other coaches in the gym with him in the off season?
Yeah, I just think he works at it. Right? I don't think we're trying to change his shot, or anybody's done anything to change his shot. I mean, he's just in there taking early in the morning, after practices, and that's what it takes. Like, I mean, I don't think Reggie Miller had the most textbook shooting form. But he found a way to make it go in, and I think that's what Ez is doing. We just want him to be aggressive, take the right ones, take the ones that he's supposed to, but his job is to make the game easier for these other guys, get them good shots, but we're going to count on him, put the ball in his hand late in games, late in shot clock to make the decisions for us, and he's really good at that. And if that's taking threes, by all means do that, but his strength is, I think, pull up, getting into those elbows, getting into the paint. We never want to lose, as we work on some of our weaknesses and want to get better at our weaknesses. Don't, neglect our strengths, and that's always my message to him.
Can you take us through how you got Jordan Williams?
Jordan Williams kind of came in on the NIL package for us. He came in on a visit. It was where when Tyron was kind of, we didn't know what he was going to do, and we brought him in on a visit, and he fell in love with it. You know what I'm saying? We called him and told him we didn't really have another scholarship, and he still wanted to come. So it's a beautiful thing that worked out for us, and able to take advantage of the NIL to cover his tuition and whatnot. And he was a great student, so it was never a problem. Like a 4.0 student, so he just fits the bill for what we're all about. And it just gives us another level of toughness that we just haven't, had throughout our probably the toughest, type player, with that body and that physique was probably Jordan, and I think he fills that void for us. I mean, he can shoot the basketball. Again, he's a really good, a ball handler as a fourth guard, not a primary one, but a great combo to have that can, I think, can play from 1 to 3.
Let's go to 2 more questions for Coach.
Down the stretch last season, it felt like the crowd got more involved, especially at home. It felt like they sort of lifted you guys in a lot of those home games. How important are they, and how important is that home court advantage, especially coming into this season?
Yeah, man, I think it's, again, we always say we can control what we can control. It's always been our narrative, but it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of excited folk that's waiting for the season. I mean, everywhere I go, whether it's the grocery store or the restaurant or whatnot, a lot of people are excited about filling this building, and I think they've seen our guys, they've seen the energy that they bring, how hard they play, the type of kids that we have. I mean, when you talk about Ezra and Tyron, just there's guys that have been able to build some rapport. Like, it's not just in the athletic community. I saw a professor at dinner, and he's like, I just random. I met Ezra, man. He's such. So I think that's great when not only they can relate to these guys from an athletic standpoint, but can relate to them as people, and that's why they want to support them. They see what we're doing and see how we've gone about building where we are now, and they want to be supportive of it. So we're ecstatic to bring that Memorial Magic back, and looking forward to packing it in here. If everybody that told me that they were that I would meet in the streets to tell me they can't wait for season 1, we should be sold out on opening night. So should be a lot of fun, man. I think our guys deserved it. They've gone through some ups and downs to get to this point, and now let's take advantage of it and ride that momentum.
Do you think that the lack of size could pose any issues for your team, and what might be some advantages of playing with a smaller lineup?
Man, I think it's probably we made our best run when we played a little bit smaller. So it's like, yeah, but we do want to have size. I mean, we want to lead Dort back as soon as we can, and I think when he's back, just on the roster, when Ben's healthy, with him along with Carter, J.Q. Roberts. I mean, our front line is going to be just as long as anybody in the conference. So I think that it's not something that we worry about. And a lot of the guys, scrimmage teams, they in the lineup. I mean, you get in the layup line, and all these guys are dunking. They got big muscles and whatnot, and they don't even play. So we just worry about us and worry about how we're going to approach things and leave it there.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, appreciate it.